So this time, this is where you're going to need your towels, and you're also going to need your block. So I'm going to roll my towels up. There might be a little bit of shifting around as I get myself into position here. I'm probably going to have a little bit of extra fabric sort of loose. They want to unroll themselves because I just think it might be a bit too big. Right, actually, you know what? I need to describe what we're doing before we get our stuff out. So what we are going to do is do a position called lying supine with towels and block. We're going to put the block against the wall, and that's going to help us with the alignment of our feet. We're going to have our hands facing up, and we're literally just going to flex our feet back towards us. So you're hopefully becoming professionals at this dorsiflexion now. But at the same time, we are going to have a towel underneath our lower back, like so. So we're supporting the kind of natural curve of the human spine. And then we're having the other one underneath our neck, which serves the same sort of purpose. It's helping to restore the spinal curvature in the way that we want. So when we do this, you are not actually pushing into the wall, but you are using the wall as a guide as to when you might be cheating. So when you've got your feet like this, I'm being held in like neutral sort of dorsiflexion, a bit like when we did flexion abdominals position at the beginning. And it just reminds me that I need to keep pulling back basically with the tops of my feet. So you physically can't like push your toes away here without noticing that you then lose that contact with your heels against the wall, okay? So we are just going to spend 5 minutes here. I say just, this is hard. 5 minutes here using the inside edge of our feet to squeeze into the block. And we're still going to be pulling the tops of our feet back towards us. So we're focusing on the dorsiflexion like we had before, but there is now also an internal squeeze through the big toe joints of both feet. Be careful if you have a bunion, just don't cause yourself pain, that goes without saying. And also through like the inner arch of the foot and the ankle. So there's a kind of inward squeeze of the block, just like we did with flexion abdominals position at the start with our knees, but this time we're doing it with our feet, and this is helping us with the alignment of our feet, and we're also pulling the tops of the feet back. What you should feel is the pelvis is moving forwards into extension, so we're kind of getting that like grounding through the coccyx and a bit of a lift through the lower back, which is obviously supported by the towels, and it should feel good. So it shouldn't feel like your lower back is like really hurting you, but that does sometimes happen. If you're very tight in your hips and your hips can't extend, which is what we're doing here, your lower back might hyperextend. So it's maybe not the exercise for you. You can try it without the towels, but it's still probably not going to work. So just do one of the other ones that we've already done and we'll see how we go. So 5 minutes here, off we go. And this is a surprisingly difficult one. Palms facing up. Breathing nice and measured, so breathing in and out of our nose and sending that breath into our belly. We're using the inside edge of the feet to squeeze into the block. So my big toe joints are touching on either side. Inner edges of the feet have got like a light bit of engagement, and the kind of ankle heel edge of the feet does as well. I'm pulling the feet back towards me as well as pushing in, and I'm still thinking about the outside edge of the feet. So this is another one where you'll notice that your big toes probably want to be closer to you than your fifth toes, and you've got to keep thinking fifth toes, fifth toes, fifth toes. And when I do that, I can feel how it changes the position of the left side of my pelvis. It's engaging it more, which is a good thing with what I know with my body. The breath stays nice and calm and measured. Palms facing up, hands, arms, shoulders, jaw, neck, everything up there chilling. Belly is relaxing, but hopefully soon enough, if it's not already, the legs are going to be on fire a little bit. So we're squeezing in with the feet, 3 out of 10 level of effort. You're not squeezing in too much with that block. We've got 5 minutes here, so you don't want to burn yourselves out. Pulling the tops of the feet back towards you, so I can feel my kind of heel end of my foot against the wall, but the top end of my foot is off the wall because I'm dorsiflexing. So my toes are not touching, the midfoot's not touching, the ball of the foot's not touching the wall, it's just the heels. And I'm trying to think about pulling the fifth toe edge of the feet back towards me as well, which is probably the hardest thing for me to do. I find the dorsiflexion okay. Although please don't think that I don't find this hard because my shins are on fire, but I have to really think about the outside edge of my feet, which is much harder. Keep squeezing in. We should be getting burning, maybe wobbling, maybe cramping. Your legs might feel like they're bouncing up and down and quivering. All of that stuff is good. If this feels like your lower back is hurting, or your abdominals are really gripping, or you're gritting your teeth, or your neck's hurting, or anything like that, then it's just not the exercise for you. This is a surprisingly difficult one. And most of the time it's due to a lack of hip extension as well as a lack of foot dorsiflexion, which is what we're doing here. We're halfway through. I don't know if that's good news or bad news. Squeezing the feet in, pulling the feet back, pulling the outside edge of the feet back towards you as well. In and out of the nose and breathing into the belly. Two minutes left. I like looking down my body here as well because, again, I feel like I keep talking about it, but my right side of my pelvis is more stuck than my left. And when I lay here, it's very subtle actually. I think this exercise and the previous exercises that we've done have helped it, but I can just see how like my right quad, my right kneecap and my right hip are a little bit higher than the left hand side. But like the longer that I'm laying in this, I can feel like a little bit of a kind of burn, stretch at the front of my right hip. So that's the kind of the pelvis and the hip changing, which is a good thing. So it's as I get rid of that tibial torsion through my left leg and my left shin is on absolute fire, the right hip starts to let go and change. So this is just a particularly good exercise for me. Squeezing in with the feet, big toe joints, inner edges of the feet push in, tops of the feet pull back, outside edge of the feet pull back as well. We've got under a minute left now, you'll be pleased to hear, I'm sure. And also just so you know, this is normally one I would put for people in their menus for like 10 to 12 minutes. So you can be thankful that you're only doing it for 5, but do you think if you're finding this really, really hard, but also kind of beneficial, it might be a really good one to stay in for a bit longer if you've got time. Just looking down at my pelvis again. Yeah, it looks like it's evening out a little bit actually, which is good. Get that fire in your shins. If your shins are on fire, you're doing something right, that's for sure. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Final exercise in our dorsiflexion sequence. So this is where we're going to need our book or